Oh, yeah, baby. Welcome back, Leatherhead Nation. Welcome to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. It's the only podcast in the whole wide world that brings the Firehouse Kitchen table to you guys. As always, I'm joined by... Oh, wait a minute. There's somebody missing, Pete. Hold on a minute. Somebody's missing.
No, I think he's here.
Wait, he's trying to get in? He's trying to get in?
Yeah, hold on. Oh, I got him. Let's bring him in. Here he is.
Oh, there he goes.
I'm hunting rabbits.
He's going to be very short tonight on combo.
Listen, he's in, he's out. You never know when Roofy's going to jump in. So we're going to have to fly solo without Roofy tonight because Pete, he's away.
Yep.
Doing what?
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Yeah, we tried every which way. He was inside. He was outside. He was standing on one foot. He had one foot out the window, one arm out the window. Wasn't working. When you are in the middle of bumfuck in a double wide trailer, you ain't getting no reception, bro. It ain't happening.
Facts, as the kids say. Yes.
So we're going to roll with a Q&A, and you never know what could happen. He comes in, we'll carry it for him, right, brothers? You got it right there. We'll carry it, brother. So, Pete, 100%. Give us we're brought to you by what today, kid?
As always, ladies and gentlemen, we are brought to you by gettinsaltyapparel.com. Gettin Salty Apparel, where you'll find this, the Warren Fuchs inspired saddle up shirt, which is my absolute favorite, or that, whatever shirt Kevin's wearing right now with his muscles.
The big one, baby.
That's the See It, the big one shirt. Guys, you'll find that. You'll find lighters, cigar, humidors, all kinds of wonderful things for firing. And Christmas corner, isn't it, Kev?
It is. Ho, ho, ho.
Holidays.
It's coming, bro.
Right. So,
and I ain't talking about your old lady. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of which, we have an old lady to picture to show tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me set it up before we do it. My man Saul said if we use his question on the air, he'd send a picture of his old lady in a thong. Well, we cut a face off just to be decent about it. My man Saul came through, so here you go, fellas.
Hold on. Before we show that, guys, just remember to go to gettinsaltyapparel.com where you can find all the awesome firefighter apparel that you need. Gettinsaltyapparel.com. And, ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, the much-anticipated picture of
Saul's old lady.
Hold on. I'm looking for something.
What'd you do? Put it in the
No, here it is. I wanted to bring her in with something good because holy shit, Saul's old lady. Wow.
Wow, chicka wow, baby.
That's legit Saul's old lady, ladies and gentlemen. She is a piece, bro. He ain't lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's all good. And then we know it's not like because that's his axe and it's got his name on it. So it's not some nonsense. So
yeah, man.
Holy mackerel. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and be a little more respectful.
Rob said it right. Better call Saul. You know it.
So
should we get to the questions?
I would like to get to the questions, but it just doesn't feel right not having another person on the show with us tonight. You know what I mean?
What do you want to do, man?
I feel like, do you want to phone a friend?
I'd love to phone a friend. Let's phone a friend, bro.
All right, hold on. Let's see if I can
dial up the digits.
Let's see if I can dial up these digits here.
Check that door for heat, Tim.
Here he is.
Oh, man, Riverboat Lane. Checking in last minute. Love it, baby. Woo!
Squad 288, Fireman Malay House Watch.
Oh,
go with the urgent.
There he is. Phone a friend, baby. You know it. Frankie something. Uncle Hank. You know it, Gonzo.
Guys,
good evening, Leatherheads. Great to be here.
We literally called phone a friend in the last 10 minutes. Hank picked up the phone and we went with it, baby. You know it.
Hank, thanks for coming by tonight, bro. I'm I'm
My
thrilled
pleasure.
that you're here.
Happy to be here.
Hold on a second.
Wait, did he get to see Saul's old lady?
Did you see Saul's old lady?
Oh, you did. You don't want to see it again, do you?
I'll send you the unredacted. I'll send the unredacted version. I Lou's trying to get in here. Hold on. Let me bring him in.
Be very, very quiet.
Never mind.
There you go. All right,
Oh.
please, that is the question. Let's do it tonight, baby.
All right,
All
boys.
right.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Let's
And
get the
before
show
we get
started.
started, as much as I love Hank, nobody will ever take Roofy's spot. Just got to throw that out
Absolutely.
there.
It's his show, and he's great at it, but I'm glad that I can come in from the bullpen once in a while.
It
Makes
is.
me feel like I'm still a part.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We love Louis and all, but hey, man, listen, Louis deserves some time off. This is his time of year, man. He lives for this stuff, so all
I
good.
love him. Love him.
Um,
Go kill something, Louis. Go get it.
Yeah, get that buck, get that big buck.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits.
Oh, sorry, get the wabbits. All right, so hello. First question. Here we go. Hello, gentlemen. First off, I would love to say that this podcast is exactly what the world needs now. Whether you are a firefighter or a civilian, this is something that anyone can jump into and get hooked on. So, getting on to my questions. Well, thanks for that, first and foremost. Lou and Kev, or in this case, Hank and Kev, do you think that the FDNY should have members be trained higher than a CFRD for medical runs? Have you ever had a bad medical call where you wish you had a higher level of training to help the outcome go in the patient's favor? And my second question is, if you guys had the ability to bring a company back that was disbanded at any point in history, what would you choose? So it's CFRD and bringing a company back.
You want to go first, Hank? You want me to?
I'll go. Listen, as far as the medical training, thank you. No, respect your senior man.
I always do.
As far as the medical training, again, New York, sometimes it's an entity unto itself because FDNY now is, EMS is FDNY. I think, in my opinion, that the members are getting trained to a high enough level because, as the fly cars, the first responders getting in, they're able to get there, evaluate and stabilize, and if they need a paramedic unit, one can respond in. Plus, many of the guys, at least back when I was on the job, in every company there was a couple of guys that were trained at paramedic level. So you even they had their own training that was at a higher level in the department had offered. And there's so much other training to be a firefighter. Sometimes you can wear too many hats. So I think where they're at now is fine, in my opinion.
I think, in my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with training some of the members up to that status and actually having some of the gear on the rig only for the fact that if one of us goes down, Hank, then we have a paramedic right there who can start immediately working on somebody with a higher level of training. You know what I mean? If we go to something, I mean, EMS is there a lot of the times, but sometimes having a paramedic around can come in handy just for our own sake, or I don't see anything wrong with more education. Could that open the door to other things? Yeah. Switching guys back and forth between the bus and the rig. Yeah. But, that's just my 2 cents.
Right.
That's what I'm throwing in there.
Anytime you have higher training like that, it's a good thing, but then it also can cause logistical problems, just like with the diving.
Right.
Because you got X amount of guys trained to dive. You got one guy out on medical leave, another guy on vacation, and now the next thing you don't have enough divers. So if you want to have it where there's a paramedic on every tour and every firehouse, you're going to need more than one or two guys trained to that level because one guy's always going to be out. So it can be done, but it just becomes another logistical problem.
You know what, too? Like before even even before CFRD came along, there was a lot of guys who were volleys who were already paramedics. So they had that training, which was a plus when they would come over to the special units. How many guys in Rescue 1 probably were paramedics? Right. I mean, a good amount of them, I would imagine.
Actually, I mean, there were 2 or 3 that I know that were paramedics. I mean, a lot of guys were trained to the EMT level, but not to the paramedic level.
Right.
I mean, honestly, though, for the majority of my career runs that I went on, you had a lot of CPR runs. We did actually do. I mean, I remember doing CPR runs when you actually were doing mouth to mouth. My first CPR job was in 1979. We responded to a sanitation garage. We wanted a sanitation man who was having a heart attack right at the garage there, And, you know, I was a junior guy, and there was the two of us, and one guy was doing compressions, and he said, "You're doing them mouth to mouth," and that's what you did, you know.
Oh shit.
So, you know, thankfully we've advanced with a lot of that stuff, but, you know, it's
Mouth to mouth.
yeah,
The only
yeah.
thing I remember mouth
There
to
was-
mouth is one day my mother sends me and my brother, my older brother. She hadn't heard from her aunt. She lived down the block from us in like a week. She goes, "I want you and your brother to go down and check on A&M. I'll give you the key." All the way down there, my brother's like, "If she's laying on the floor, you're giving the breaths and I'm giving the compressions." I'm like, "Why do I get to give the breaths?" And he starts beating the shit. And he goes, "That's why you got to give the breaths, bro." Because I'm older and I'm doing a compression. I ain't
Right,
sticking
yeah.
my mouth up some old 80-year-old
So-
broad.
FYI, I know we have a second part to this question, but real quick, someone from the UK is asking, they currently don't do medical response, just fire and rescue. And was there any resistance to medical response when it was introduced? And I figured there was. And what are the attitudes now compared to back then?
I think they started in Brooklyn, right? Hank first was with the CFRD. They pushed it to Brooklyn first.
I'm pretty sure that was correct.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm not, you know, full transparency. I was one of the guys that was resistive to it. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I was in Rescue 1 at the time, and we had so many other duties that we were doing and skills that we were doing. That wasn't like my top priority to get trained to a higher, you know, medical level. I figured, hey, you know what? I'm trained in all these other things. Somebody else can get trained in the medical end of it.
Right,
Whether that was
right.
right or wrong, you know, to me at that time, that's how I felt. And, you know, I didn't, you know, I mean, I did medical stuff when it was needed. Like I said, I did CPR, bandaged a lot of people and stuff, but I wasn't like looking to intubate anybody like at a paramedic level or do any of that stuff. That wasn't my forte or my interest, but there are guys that excel at it. And I saw guys that were excellent at it.
Word.
Mikey Milner is asking if there are Secret Service paramedics for Joe Biden.
But I hope so.
The second part of that question was, if you guys had the ability to bring back a company that was disbanded at any point in history, which one would you choose?
You know what? I mean, go ahead, Kev. You want to take that one first? Or
Yeah, I'm going to go with the one that Chief Steve, because we're going to talk about this later, but the one that Chief Steve said, I'm going to bring back the Sappers and Miners, bro, company, which was, in the like, late 1700s to 1958. And they would do demolition to blow up buildings so the fire wouldn't spread. That's
The plug uglies? Were they called the plug uglies?
No, the Sappers and Miners unit.
Oh,
That's what I would bring back.
You know what? I mean, it's if you were in one of the units that was disbanded, obviously you want to see that unit. You would love to see it come back. I was lucky that I never was in one of those units. I mean, Chief Steve was in 212. You know, there was some heavy hitting companies that got closed. I know you had the discussion when they closed the Tin House 232. You know how they did it by calling it a false alarm. You know, to me,
that's right.
You know, to me, I'd like to see every unit that was closed down reopened. It didn't give the neighborhoods more protection. So, you know, but it's always, you know, I mean, it always comes down to the almighty dollar. So they have to cut. First thing is, you know, they start looking at is, you know, emergency services. And, you know, they don't realize you're paying. It's an insurance policy. You hope you never need us. But when you do, if that first due unit was closed 6 months ago and now it takes that second due unit an extra couple of minutes to get to your family, that could be the difference between someone coming out alive or not making it.
Yep. And they closed a company like 212. That was an old company, man. Right? That was over 100 years old, 212.
Yeah. And, you know, they have roots in the neighborhood. You know, it's not just about getting on the rig and you know, responding out lights and sirens. It was a place where the neighborhood kids would come by and talk to you, and you know, and you could help mentor some of these kids and show them around.
Right.
And, you know, and it come to, you know, people would come to the firehouse with other problems besides fires and medical stuff. Just sometimes they needed to talk, or they needed your advice, or, you know, could you help me with this? You know, so when you lose that in the neighborhood, you're losing a part of it.
Yeah. Or maybe they were trying to kill a guy who was banging their old lady, you know, so the firefighters had to intercede or whatnot.
Just saying, yeah. Like, Squad 288 with a knife on.
Well, exactly.
You know.
Hey, listen, that wasn't the first time people came running into the firehouse that were being attacked or chased. I mean,
yeah, man.
Really?
Yep.
Was that a common thing?
I'm not gonna say it's common, but it's not. You know, it wasn't like that incident that 288 had a couple of months ago was like the first time, like it was a revelation.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I
No,
remember years ago in 280 and 132 where guy came. There was a parking lot. It was actually a vacant building that when it finally burnt, we let it burn because we needed a parking lot because our cars were getting trashed out in the front of the firehouse in the street. So it was a city-owned building. They let us make a parking lot in the back, and so the guys would park in the back, and then we had an 8-foot brick wall in the back with a door that you could get into the backyard of the firehouse. And guys were hanging out in the back one day, and next thing you're hearing gunshots, and somebody's coming running through the parking lot, and because somebody, in the car was like a drive-by, they were shooting at them. So they seek refuge wherever you can.
Hey, Pete, go back. Somebody had a question about 252, squad 252.
252, yeah. Question for Hank and Kev. When they wanted to close 252 and move them to 44, were all the squads in jeopardy or just 252?
I forgot that, Hank. Do you remember that? But they were close to closing 252.
I vaguely do, but to answer that question with any credibility, I'd be lying. I don't want to.
I remember, dude, at like 252 was taking the cabinets off the kitchen doors, and they were going to close them down. And as much as we didn't want them to close another company, 288 was like, yeah, man, we're gonna get all those Bushwick boxes because we can get in there quick, man.
Of course.
Holy shit!
We're like, oh, that's really terrible, guys. That's bullshit that they're closing you. But we were like, yeah, yeah, man.
And
Jesus,
were they going to put them in where 44 was in Manhattan?
Yeah, they were going to make him a squad in second squad in Manhattan, 44.
Wow.
Hey, bro!
I forgot that it was happening, bro. But we were like, holy shit, those boxes. Because we can get to Bushwick really quick, man, down Flushing Avenue. Oh, my God. We've been picking up a lot of work. But,
44 wouldn't have liked that. They were a nice single engine company. They always got got the work done,
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't too happy to hear that.
Yeah. It was just squad 252. Cheeseman said he was probably there. Cheeseman was there at the time. I'm only kidding, Cheeseman. I really didn't want him to do it.
Well, I told you I saw 252 having a little trouble right off the Jackie recently with the rig.
Yeah.
There's like 5 guys crowding around the fender up front, and I was like, oh, hello, boys. You need a ride somewhere? You good? It didn't look good, but But don't you know somebody there now? Hey, bro.
Hey, bro, Charlie Hendry's there now, bro. So what's going on?
Is he a lieutenant there now?
Yeah, so what else is going on, Hank? So what's going on?
God bless you, boys at 252, man.
They let him stay in Hempstead or they kick him out?
No, he's still in Hempstead, too.
Fuck that. Those guys are awesome, man. I love that. Just for that alone. Hey, bro. 252.
Let's go. Let's get on the second question.
All right. Second question. Here we go. Question for your Q&A. What qualities do you want for a great firefighter in the engine company and for the truck company? From John M.
Okay, Kevin, you or me?
You could go with that one, bro. I'm doing something right here, trying to get it done.
All right. Well, listen. First off, we know from previous shows all the banter that goes back and forth between the engine and the truck guys. And, when I got on, the engine men were the Munchkins, the truck guys were the Giants, and then all kinds of nonsense. I don't think you can separate and say what are the qualities. I think we're all firefighters, and we need the same qualities,
right?
Tenaciousness. You got to be willing to sacrifice yourself somewhat to do this job, because we all know once you put 20, 25 years in a job like ours and you get beat up, and when you retire, like I'm learning now, the different how bad you beat yourself up. And would I do it all over again? Absolutely. I'm not believe me, I'm not singing the blues here, but I think the question, what I would say to whoever asked that is, there's no difference. I mean, the qualities are the same. Now, the ambitions might be different. I started in a volunteer company in a hook and ladder. I love doing that work, and even taking it further, which is why I spent like 15 years in special ops, because I like doing all those extra things. I was in an engine company that was in 280, which was a great engine company right out of Proby school. I was there about 15 months, and I got my nozzle time on my backup and and all the different positions. That wasn't enough for me. I like being a little more independent and going out, like in the truck where you're forcible entry team, you got one other guy with you, then you're the OV, you're on your own, you're on the roof, you're on your own. So that depends, once you get onto the job and you decide which direction you want to go. And another department, again, I'm talking New York. I have friends that I met in the Carolinas. Their operating procedures are a lot different. Like a ladder company, they don't do as much as a New York City ladder company. Now they may be changing that, but so maybe an engine company has more action for them. So it really depends on where the department you're in. And once you try all those different jobs, you decide which way you want to go.
Well, Pete, ask Louis what he thinks.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Can't just throw that at me when I'm in the middle of an email.
Sorry. Hey, Louis, what do you think?
Really quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Right.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks for nothing, Lou.
Thanks, Louis. Awesome.
Louis actually, I just want to say this. Louis is signed in the chat as Gettin Salty Experience, and he's saying stupid shit. Like, where is the good-looking Italian guy?
I'm right here.
And then he said, "Hey, Pete, tell Hank I
suck it."
I did not say any of this. So just so you guys know, I will not be in the chat for the rest of the night. That's fucking Louis. So
That's
Louis,
my man right there. That's my man right there.
Louis, what are you doing in the chat?
Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
All right, Lou. Thanks, Lou.
That's my man right there, bro. That's my man.
Holy shit. All right, let's get to
Hank
question
is,
3 for crying out
I'm
loud.
trying to botch this up so it makes him look good.
Hank, you're doing great.
Thank you.
All right, stand by. Pete, here's a question for Hank and Lou.
Hank and Kev.
Hank and Kev, sorry. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm losing it, man. My face hurts from laughing. On November 3rd, Squad 288 was relocated to Rescue 1 and ended up catching a 1075 as the first new engine from Rescue 1's quarters. Do you have any interesting stories of jobs you caught while relocated, working in a different area of town, or type of buildings you weren't super familiar with?
The only one I had was we got relocated to Squad 61 at the Carplunk fire, and we actually got sent to it while we're on our way to 61. So they sent us that was a fatal firefighter fatal. We actually went to work in the basement, man, and we helped remove him from the basement. It was a collapse, and he was stuck down there. So I mean, that's the only one I can remember offhand of getting relocated and picking up a job. Well, actually, I'm lying. We picked up a job in Manhattan one time. We relocated to 18, and a job was coming in as we were coming over the bridge, and Hoppy just said, "Take it." I was driving Hopkins, and he said, "Take it in." And we got there, and Downey read us the riot act. Yeah.
You know what? I can't honestly say that I relocated to some place that I felt uncomfortable. When the first 8 years on the job between 280 and 132, most of the relocations were still in Brooklyn, and you were familiar with the type of buildings, and you were running in with guys that everybody kind of knew the buildings and knew what they were doing, and you didn't feel out of place or like, oh my God, what am I getting into? I think the only way I could equate it was maybe if a company gets relocated to a different borough, like if you're coming from, say, Brooklyn, and all of a sudden you find yourself in Manhattan. I know when I left 132 and went to Rescue 1, if you want to equate it that way, and I think I might have said this story on one of the early podcasts, but I remember we had a job in a hotel that was under renovation, and I was on the floor above with Joe Angelini when we were making a search, and I think 54 was below, and somehow they lost water. Next thing I know, there's fire, racing up the stairs, and I'm in this building that's being renovated and cut off, and I'm saying to myself, okay, I came to this borough to die, because at that point I thought I was trapped, and thank God Joey found a place of refuge, and we were able to duck in. But so I think that's where the unfamiliarity and uncomfortableness comes if you relocate to another area, and now you're in buildings that you're not used to fighting fires in, and you get a job. Right. It can be a bit of a ball check. So.
Yeah, man.
that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right, fella. What do you got, Pete?
Hold on one sec. Still sending emails to the right email this time. Actually, you know what's funny? John Albanese was talking about pictures of cheaters. Like he was really concerned with cheaters.
I sent him an email. I don't have a picture. I'd have to find a picture.
I know. But I found an article that I got to refine now, but I'll do that later. It was like something about cheaters that you guys have gotten in the past, and I will read it shortly. Hold on. All right, here's the next question. Actually, one from the chat. Hi, Pete. Curious to know what Hank's thoughts are on other departments around the world with the way they fight fires compared to the FDNY. Now, this is coming from Chris Burke, who I believe is an Aussie. So there you go.
Okay. Well, Chris, first off, Monday, we all do it somewhat, Monday morning quarterback. First off, being from FDNY, I think we were hands down the best department in the world. I'm sorry, but that's the way I felt. And that was probably because of the amount of fire we were getting. And
I'll second it.
And that's not to belittle anybody, because I've met people and I've seen guys operate in other places, and they all do a fine job. And I've never fought a fire in Australia or England.
Right.
Or
you're not a brush fire guy, as an example. Right. Those guys will kick ass in there.
I had this conversation. I actually had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day. I was asking about, there's one of these movies, I think, about those forest land firefighters that got killed. And,
right.
I said it's a totally different animal. A structural firefighter is a totally different animal from a guy that's fighting wildland firefighters. Right. The most I've ever come close to is a couple of, cattail brush fires, in the city. I don't know what it's like to fight a forest fire. So, to me, I if I had to do it again, I would become a structural firefighter. I like to pull up to a building, size it up. If there's people trapped, that's my job. Let's go in there, get some water on the fire and get these people out and give them a chance to live. That's what I enjoy doing. And, other departments, it's, and even my volunteer, I was a volunteer. Everybody, you rise to your own level. And I guess New York, like some of the other big cities, guys just were, I don't want to say better, but because they were more experienced. You did it more often. It was just second nature. You didn't have to think about everything you did. It became a reflex, just like a sport. You do the same shot enough times, it's a reflex action. And you pull up to a brownstone, you pull up to a tenement, you pull up to and your position, you know what you got to do it, and off you go and do it. And that's not to say that things can't go wrong, because I used to tell all my young guys, other than maybe being in the military, this is like the most hazardous peacetime job you can have. And even when you're a student of the job and you do everything right, there's a good chance that something's going to go wrong and you may not go home at the end of the tour. So you try to be a student of the job and make everything go in your favor to increase your chances of going home at the end of the tour.
Right.
And that's, and if everybody in their departments do that, they should be good firefighters. And,
those are the guys who live the job, not just do the job. Right.
Yeah, look at that.
Correct.
Yeah, so I just to tail off that a little bit, we do have a show coming up on these wildland guys, wildfire guys, which we got something in the makings, because we don't know shit about it. It'd be great to have one of these guys on.
Sure. Love to hear about it.
Yeah. Imagine that being surrounded by that shit, dude. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
And the second thing is, the only experience I have with firefighting in other countries is when I went with my wife to the Philippines one time. And we went to was
it a clown car?
Dude, this is a funny story. And I swear to God, this is the balls honest truth. We go to the firehouse where her father's from, in the island that her father's from, and I'm buffing out. I bring a whole bunch of patches with me and shirts, right? So I asked to see the engine, and it looks like an engine from 1950, bro. And I open up the chauffeur's door, and there's like fucking 10 cats sitting on the seats, and I swear, cats sitting on the seats and ring. I'm like, wow, that's a little strange. So they called down the chief, and I they speak a little broken English. They speak that Spanish English, whatever it is, half English, half Filipino. So I give the chief all the patches, and he don't have a patch to give me back, bro. He feels awkward. I can see it. He goes, steps in the back, I swear to God,
He rips it off.
He rips it off the guy. He ripped it off the guy's sleeve, and he gives me the pack.
Hey, you gotta give that guy some love though. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, he brings him in the back and goes, pulls it off the guy's sleeve, and he comes out and he hands me the guy's patch.
It's better than giving
Holy
you one of the cats in the front seat.
Dude, there was like 10 cats in the front seat. Like cat piss. I'm like, when's the last time this rig moved?
Holy shit, boys.
That might have been lunch. I don't know. Could have been lunch. Wait for them. I don't know.
I'm going back to the emails, even though the chat's going off right now. I'm going to go back to the emails real quick. Real quick question for you guys, because it came from Texas, and I respect and love anybody from Texas. So, real quick one. Which borough gets the most work, boys?
Which borough gets the most work? Brooklyn?
Yeah. I was going to say Brooklyn, but okay.
I think.
Depends on the day. I look. There's days you see Queens knocking them dead. There's days Manhattan's knocking them dead.
Very
Maybe
true.
at the end.
Days, right.
And listen, Brooklyn. There's always, it was always the baked apple, the borough fire. But there's been a lot of areas that are gentrified there, so it's making a lot. It makes it a lot tighter, And you can't leave the Bronx out either. But it's.
Listen, when I do my other job, like I'm not as afraid to go to Crown Heights or these other places as I am in South Jamaica. Bro, I go to South Jamaica, Queens now, and I'm a little more worried than when I am in these regentrified areas of Brooklyn. Yeah.
I mean, look, I've told you, I said, area like where I started in 280 and 132, now there's wine and cheese places. They put Barclays Arena up there on Flatbush Avenue. It's just kind of like gentrifying down into like the Bed-Stuy area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
even when I had moved there in 2005, it was like the last heroin house was getting kicked off the block. They boarded it up, I swear, days before we got there. And it turned into that whole mess.
Right.
Hold on.
And you know what? They're still getting work, but they're not getting it like that daily work that we used to see.
I'd like to quickly call in a friend.
Because you got to phone another friend?
I would like to phone another friend. Stand by.
What?
Oh my God!
Holy shit! Another friend. Steve.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Oh my God! It's not working.
I'm Chief Steve. I'm here to inspect. That better not be beer on your breath. Line up in order. Dress right, dress. Go get a comb. Your hair's a fucking mess. Proper uniform is what I'm here to see. No getting salty shirts, they won't get past me. 'Cause I'm Chief Steve.
Wow, what a show tonight. Rookie don't make it. We got Hank, Old Man River, Hank Willett, and Chief Steve.
Hey.
Holy shit.
Hey, Steve.
Wow.
How are you, Chief?
Hello
How
there,
you feeling?
my friend Chief, my probie mate from February of '79. You got two of us on here, except the one is Steve. Listen, you're my idol. You're still on the job. You're making our class look good. So God bless you.
All right. Hey, could you turn that light? It's ricocheting off the top of your head a little bit. Can you?
Let me see if I can adjust this for you. Wait a minute. Is that better?
Hey, where's your good-looking son? I thought I saw your son there. Where's the
My
good-looking
son was there because he had to help me with the to get it. It wasn't cooperating.
Where is he? Let me say hello to him.
Steven!
Oh. Mom, meatloaf! Mom!
Here.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
What now?
The meatloaf! He asked me to call him. Mom, the meatloaf! Fuck!
Hold on. Hey, Lou wants to say something real quick. Hold on.
What?
Very, very quiet. I'm hunting weapons.
Lou, thanks for that very poignant message, Lou.
All right, let's get back to the questions.
All right.
Crazy
Get back to
people.
some questions here.
All right, you guys. All right, here we go. Pete, I have a question for the guys. I am on a large city fire department, and we do all of our transfers from house to house, 100% by seniority. When there are openings posted, we put in a transfer request, and the most senior member gets the spot. I hear the guys talk about transferring houses, and they talk about going and having an interview with the captain. which made me think it was an interview process and the captain's choice on who fills the openings. But then I've also heard that the guys, guests talk about having enough points, and that is why they were able to get certain spots. Can the guys explain the interview or points process and how transfers are handled in the FDNY? Thanks, and stay safe, Alan.
I think Chief Steve could show us about the points, because you get them for points when you pass a test, right? When you get promoted or something. Give me the whole spiel on points, Chief.
Points are based on what rank you are. A fireman gets 1 point for every year that he's he's on the job. You get 3 points for every year you're a lieutenant, and 5 points for every year you're a captain. And
what about limited medical leave too? Don't you get more points for it?
You have points taken off for excessive medical leave.
Right. If you have excessive medical leave, they did
points subtracted from your total.
Right.
But as far as I can't speak for every division, but in the 14th division, the commander there is, as you know, Mark Ferran. And besides looking at the points, he likes to give his captains, his company commanders, the men they want. So if certain guys put in, 3 or 4 guys put in for the same house, let's say, he will ask the company commander who he wants. Now, if there isn't too much of a differential in the points, if the points are close, he will, like just say that the captain wants is 2 or 3 points lower than somebody else. The captain's endorsement means something, so he would probably get the spot even though he has a few points less. Now, if the points are dramatically different, then you might have a little bit of a problem, because there might be some complaint about that, or going to the union or whatever. Like I said, if the points are close, you have this discretion of the company commander and the also the battalion command, because Chief Ferran, when guys put in for either a firefighter or more so with the company officers, though, he wants to give the captains the guys that they want. So he'll always tell them when you come to the 14th that if you're going to put in for a spot, don't bother unless you get the company commander's endorsement to start with and the battalion's endorsement. He wants to get
me and Louis have a different view on it. When we see a guy go to a really busy place and you don't have that many points and he just happens to wind up in a busy place,
I've never done this before.
We've never done this before. That's
the other thing.
These are the recommendations that, like say, Ferran will put in his recommendations. It doesn't mean that somebody's that's over him is not going to overrule his recommendation. That's where you're talking about, where you're making your.
See, Pete, I've been used to that my whole life. You see that right there, like this?
I love it.
Another thing that factors into points are meritorious acts. You get certain points. So you may have a couple of less years as a firefighter than another firefighter, but let's say you've had a couple of meritorious acts that might give you enough points to surpass the other guys. So that plays into it too.
I'm trying to remember now, because meritorious acts count for promotion. I'm trying to remember if they count for transfer.
I thought they did. I may be wrong, but
I'm trying to, because when you say that, I'm not.
You know what, Pete? Ask Louis.
Count for promotion, as you know.
Ask Louis, Pete.
Yeah, hold on, Louis. Quick question: What do you think about this situation?
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting weapons.
Thank you, Louis.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks, Lou.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Hit us with another one. What do you got?
All right. Hey guys, love the show. My question is, what went into your decisions? Excuse me, to promote and not promote. And for Lou, well, in this case, let's give it to the senior man Hank or Chief Steve. And for you boys, why did you decide not to promote to captain or higher? Thanks from Joe in West Bend, Wisconsin.
Well, I'll tell you why I didn't study.
Yield to the deputy chief.
Look at the guy right here. I wasn't going anywhere near that, so why even bother, bro? Anything would have been, short of that right there. So I can't keep up with this study.
Short.
Oh, another short.
Oh.
So yeah. So I was.
Sorry, that was for Chief Steve's joke there. Sorry.
I was happy just being a fireman in special ops. That was it. So what made you want to study, Chief?
What made me want to study? Well, a couple of things. One, making more money. My overriding first concern. And then I wanted to, there were certain guys that were my bosses that I said, if he can be a boss, I got to be able to be a boss. Certain people, which I will not name, but when I was a fireman.
Name one.
No.
Well, he always takes the high road. He's such a good guy, Hank, isn't he?
Hey,
why didn't you?
You know why,
He
though?
does the right thing.
One thing always stuck with me that Chief Steve said on our show before, and I really respect it, and I'm not even trying to fuck around right now, is when he said, you know what? Be a professional. And Chief Steve is consummate professional, so you can't knock the man on that. That's that. I know we fuck around. I know we have a puppet and whatever. Chief Steve's a consummate professional, so I'm just saying it, and that's all there is to it.
What about you, Hank? Why didn't you want to study?
Well, I second that about Chief Steve. From what I know of Steve, he's always a gentleman, and he's was an excellent officer. And like I said, I don't know what tree he fell off, but I don't know where you fell.
I knew that was coming.
The tree,
I knew that was coming, bro.
Oh God! Hey Hank, that's from Ray Seeley. Oh, shit, brother.
So Chief Steve, since I have to say thank you for giving me your younger brother problem that I had to deal with at 288. I tried my best. I'm sorry if I
gotta hide him somewhere.
Right? He did all right. To answer,
go ahead.
As far as studying,
Still doing all right.
Well, first off, when I got to Brooklyn, I went to a great firehouse. I was having too much fun. I wasn't thinking about studying. I was going to fires with a bunch of guys that I loved and getting it done. And like a lot of other firemen, you had a second job, so you could make some extra money to put away for when you wanted to buy the house and stuff. And then when I decided to go to Rescue One, and I was able to go there, it was kind of the same scenario. It was like, wow, I love what I'm doing. I love the borough I'm in. I'm doing a lot of good stuff here, and you just kind of fall into that pattern. And I was happy being in special ops and having that second job. And you know what? I didn't think about studying until late in the job, and then 9/11 occurred, and that kind of cut my career short. So, I think had I been around after that, I might have studied. I would have never attained the rank that Chief Steve did. But I think at some point, with my experience, I would have been pretty good as a lieutenant somewhere, and retired at that point, made a little extra money, and I enjoy teaching the young guys. So that would have given me the platform to do that. But no regrets. I would do my whole career over again if I could.
Well, you talk about some guys study right away, some guys study later. I know that in your audience you have Chief Kleehouse, who listens quite often. Chief Kleehouse, if I'm not mistaken, you had, I think, 18 years or so when you got promoted to lieutenant, and he still became a chief officer. But he had, I'm pretty sure, 8 or 9 years in 108, and then 8 or 9 years in Rescue 2 before he became a lieutenant.
Yeah, I think he was in Lieutenant Squad 41.
And you know what? I think when you make lieutenant with that many years on the job, there's no question about it. You can walk into any firehouse and once they know your pedigree, you have automatic respect by the guys. If you're a 9-year guy walking into a firehouse with 15-year guys, you may have a little tougher time than a guy with a lot more years on the job. It is
a little more, because I worked, because I had 8.5 years when I got promoted, which after 9/11, that was nothing. We had guys who were getting promoted that had 5 and 6 years.
Right.
But it is, when you go into a place and you're the young guy there and you have the least time of the job, and it does happen sometimes, it can be a little bit more difficult.
Right. And the other reason too, not for me is, and to be honest, the amount of material that like Steve had to study. I mean, you basically had so many books. It was like taking a four-year college course, because they could pick 2 questions out of, all unit circulars, and 3 questions out of safety bulletins, and 2 out of the regs. And you had to know everything in those books.
He could have been a doctor by now, for Christ's sake, with all that stuff.
Exactly. And to be quite honest with you, I couldn't wrap my head around all that stuff. And it, I think that's why the test after 9/11, a lot of guys did a little that were good firefighters got promoted, because it was a lot more just on the firefighting and the tactics. There was that old thing. I don't need to know how many, Christmas trees Macy's can have in their window at Christmas time. That turned a lot of guys off, and I was one of them. I just didn't, it was hard for me to wrap my head around that stuff.
I'll say one thing about Chief Steve that most guys might not know. Not only did he ascend to the deputy chief rank, but he scored in the top and some of them you were in the top 10, right? In some of those tests, you were always in the top percentile of all the tests.
Yeah, for the most part, I was. Yeah, but what normally happens is, and you'll see it repeats itself. When you start studying, if you study hard, there are guys, and they tend to stay in the same groups of different guys. Like my group of guys was me, Jimmy DiDomenico, Oriel Palmer, John Colo, Jerry Tracy, and what happens is, you're in that pack, and the lieutenants, you're in that pack, and then, like I said, the next group of guys, they have their group of guys, and it's the same thing. For the most part, if you stay in the books and you found that you're pretty good at doing that, you pretty much stay pretty close in an area there. Follow your group along for the most part. If you stay in the book, some guys, you see, both ends of the spectrum. You see guys. I got promoted with guys, lieutenant, that did very well, and they never studied again.
Yeah. Ruffy, I don't think Ruffy had any interest in going to captain. I think he liked being an officer. I like being back in SOC.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
A lot of guys made captain, and if they were captain of a good house, they would say, "That's it. I'm not studying anymore. I love right where I am, and this is where when I leave the job, I'm leaving from this place." So it all depends.
Captain of 26 that just retired, who was also in our class.
Who was that?
We were just talking about him recently with Jerry Tracy when Jerry Tracy put in for 111. I think they gave him 26 truck, and he just retired. Jerry was saying Charlie Roberto.
Yeah. He was captain of 26 truck for over 20 years, and he just retired. He just aged out.
Look at Liam Flaherty, Rescue 2. He passed over the Chiefs. I wouldn't go anywhere if I was a captain of Rescue 2. I'd stay there too.
Yeah, I'm saying there were some guys. Yeah, there were some guys that that actually turned things down. The old chief in the 4-5, Larry Schwemmer, he turned down deputy a couple of times. He just wanted to be a deputy. He liked being a chief. When they asked him, "Why'd you take the test?" he said, "Because my group of guys that he had got promoted with, they all took the deputy." So he just wanted to make sure that he could stay in the pack, but he didn't want the job.
All right, Petey.
Go.
Go ahead, Hank. You have one more to add?
No, I was just the testing. Again, we're talking New York.
Again,
we're talking New York City testing procedures. Which is basically all books, and you sit on a Saturday and take it because of the amount of guys. For a lieutenant's test, you could have 5,000 guys taking the test. I've seen smaller departments where there's 3 or 4 guys, and their testing procedures are completely different. Where they'll put them in front of a screen with a building, fire, and they'll ask them, the tactics when they pull up. They may have to answer some written questions, but then they do evaluations and oral evaluations, and that works for them, and they get good officers too. But to try to do that in like a department the size of New York, it just would never work.
No, it's logistically impossible to do it. Right. Even now they with computers and that they're doing. With some of the upper ranks, you just everyone takes it on a computer, and it's much easier. But like I say, when you have between 4,000 and 5,000 guys taking it, it's a totally different thing. Smaller groups, you get up battalion chief, deputy chief. What do you have? Maybe maybe 100 guys taking a test. 150.
Right.
I don't even know if 150 taking deputies. Maybe 100 guys taking deputies. So the logistics of doing it, you can do different things. You just can't do it if you have 4,000 guys plus. It's very hard to do.
Right.
You can get a better test if you can do things other than just reading out of a book, because not that it's a bad way, but there are plenty of people that can do very well on those tests, and it doesn't make you a good officer.
Amen, brother.
That is correct. Amen.
Okay,
All right, Petey.
moving
Go.
on. Hey, Pete, Lou, and Roids, Kev. That's what they wrote, not me. My question is, yeah. My question is, how do you keep morale up around the firehouse when everyone seems down, whether it be a boss, equipment, or pay? I notice guys lose their interest after a while, which also brings my morale down as well. Any ideas on how to keep up the stamina of having the greatest job on earth, and how do guys get guys around me? How to get guys around me excited to be there as well? Thank you for the Monday, Thursday night therapy. See you at the big one from Gabriel Akia.
Wow, very cool.
Good question.
I guess going to fires is what always breaks up the cuntiness, right, and the low morale.
Right. I mean, I was going to say, yeah, you go to a fire, but you can't schedule a fire. So there's nothing like a fire to get the morale back up. I mean, it's, you're wishing destruction, but that's the best thing for morale. Other than that, that's where good officers and good senior people come in. Mixing up, whether it's doing a drill you've never done before, making guys put their thinking caps on, just like these guys you have come on with these inventions and stuff. You throw a problem out there, discuss a fire you had. Some of these, maybe some of the new guys, weren't at a fire, and you bring up a fire you had in the past and some lessons learned. I think I always found out in the firehouse, listen, there's always going to be the frat house antics too that tend to get the guys laughing. That works for us somewhat. But when you actually, if you got a bunch of guys that are into the job, and even if it's quiet, you start talking fires and lessons learned, guys, they'll perk up and they'll start, asking questions and bringing with their knowledge out, to the forefront. And I don't know, to me that always worked. You
know where I'm going, right?
Yeah,
I say
the elevator drill, right?
No, I say a good old boys. No, boys' night out, titty bar, maybe. Just saying, boys' night out always brings the boys together. Always brings cohesion together.
Chief Steve, you see, I know you grew up with him. I had to live with him. I don't know. I do know who got the brains in the Kubel family. I'll say that.
Well, I would say in regard to this subject, if you're a firefighter and you're in a place and you find that they're constantly down, they're not interested in all that, the best thing is move to another firehouse, because there are companies that unfortunately can't be motivated just the way it is. There are some companies that are like that, and if you find that you're that you're in the minority in a unit like that there's more guys that are just fine with not doing anything and not drilling and not, then you're in the wrong place, and you want to go to a place that is more in your line of thinking and what you want to do and where you want to go with your career. It's like you say,
everybody. Some of these guys can't. Some of the departments are so small that they can't do that.
But isn't it true, guys, that you guys were saying go to fires, which obviously is dangerous and hard work, right? But you can't replicate that in training so much, but you can replicate the hard work aspect, right? So doesn't that create a bond and get people on the same page? Or do you think in some houses that just winds up pissing people off?
I'm going to be serious. I mean, the boys' night out is good, but what I used to do was do stuff. Chief Steve used to see it, like the Squad Olympics. if you bring something that's competitive to these guys, where they're competing against each other, it brings up the morale. Even though they're competing against each other, it changes the pace of the firehouse. Where maybe you're doing the same old drills or whatever. And I used to put the Squad Olympics would consist of like 6 or 7 events on the time, and guys would try to compete, doing that stuff. Some of it was physical, so it was hard work, Pete, and that would always bring up the morale of the guys.
Yeah, hard work always. Just when you complete something with your boys that's difficult, it always brings everybody up. Like, kind of look around, like, hey, we just did that together. You know what I mean? And it's a kind of cool feeling.
So I'm going to just say, Squad Olympics plus titty bar equals higher morale. I'll leave it at that.
Gotta go to the titty
bar. Would you agree? I mean, that's what I'm saying.
That's only your answer for 90% of the problems.
Well, you can't go wrong with a titty bar, right? All right, Pete, get off the phone. Give me another one.
All right, let's see here. Guys, I've got 2 questions. First is for Lou, so I'll answer that in a minute. Did he have a favorite class to teach while he was spending his time at sock school? I don't know if that worked. If he was, wait, that's weird. Was Lou teaching at sock school?
Lou had to go run sock, the rescue school when he came back. In order to get back in, you got to pay your piper.
Okay, got it. Next one is for both of you guys. What was the most interesting class they took, either in-house or that they traveled to take while they were in SOC? For instance, ropes, tech rescue, swift water, etc. Thanks from Chris and Beth.
Bomb school in New Mexico. They would blow up everything. He was cool as shit. And I went all my out-of-state classes with Fat Daddy Ray. So how could you go wrong, bro? We had a great time. Cheers to Fat Daddy's Ray and his maker's mark. We would be the most hated people in the group every time, hands down, bro. Because we would break everybody's balls. Ask Fat Daddy.
Well, I was gone by the time they started Swift Water, so I wasn't privy to that class. I think probably the most intense training was when I had to do the dive training at Rescue One, because now I believe SOC does all their own training in-house. But back then, when the program was started, they had hired an outsider. It was Lifeguard Systems Incorporated, and the instructor was this guy by the name of Butch Hendricks, who was an ex-Navy SEAL. So, like, this guy was the real deal. And the classes were given at the Commercial Dive Institute, which was in the, I guess it would be considered the East River, between the Drogs Neck and the Whitestone Bridges over there, where it feeds in. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty intense training, because when you got, by the time you finished, you had, besides your open water 1 and 2, you had black water diver, you had rapid deployment search and rescue. This guy, he would send you down and harass you. Like, you would know. He'd come up behind you and rip your face piece off, turn your bottle off, underwater. So, and to see how you would deal with it. You're a firefighter. You're not used to, like, operating underwater at this point. So that was pretty intense. But we got through it, and it made us better divers. And then probably next was the high angle, when we went to the actual high angle rope training. They brought, again, it's all in-house now, but back then they brought in Rocco, and we had to do the different classes, Rocco 1, Rocco 2, and that was pretty intense training, where between, all the knots and the anchor points and the patience in the Stokes basket, and 4-to-1s and 2-to-1s. You had to learn a lot. So, I guess kind of like studying for promotion, except with ropes and pulleys. But
speaking of diving,
that was intense.
Chief Steve was telling me the other day that his favorite class was muff diving 1. I think that he did like. Or did you just say that the other day?
Oh my God, Chief! And by the way, Mickey Murphy in the chat wanted to correct you really quick. He said, "Kev, titty bar? Really? It's 2020, and that's so offensive to women. Please call it a fun bag bar."
Sorry, fun bag bar.
Sorry
about that.
Oh my God! All right.
You want to chime in on that one, Chief Steve?
No.
All right, good. Next one.
All right, here we go.
Listen, hold on. Before we go any further,
Yes.
I know Chief Steve's son is over. Are you under time constraints?
Why? What do you mean?
You don't need to check out, do you? You good?
No, I'll just.
All right, good. All right, good. Go ahead.
Here we go. Hey guys, love this show. My question is about the shield you wear on your helmet. I guess the front piece they're talking about, and what you do when you work a detail or when you are floating around as a newly promoted officer. Do you have to change your shield every time you go to work at a different house, even if it's just for one tour? And if so, do guys keep these shields as souvenirs if they caught a big job on the detail, or if it was just a cool house for them to work at? Once again, love the show, guys. It's great as an aspiring firefighter to have a resource like this to learn about the job and have some laughs. Thanks, from Brian. Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Well, you want that one, Kev, or Chief Steve, or what?
I mean, you don't change a front piece when you go on details. I mean,
Nah.
when you're bouncing around as a lieutenant, though, you put on the they have the front piece that you put on, right, Chief Steve? The company.
Yeah, front page. You know, they have a program where there are front pieces for guys that get detailed. But of course, what happened, like, you know, after the first week, they all disappeared.
That happened. What a shock!
Huh?
What a shock!
There was a program, but to where, of course, you know, just like everything else, you know, it's accountability with guys. The guy's working, you know, and you want to make sure, you know, a guy from, you know, 138 is the Mayday's missing, but he's not from 138. He's detailed from, you know, 130 or something. So you want to make sure you're looking for the right guy, and that, you know, all about accountability. But the program that they put in, like I say, they did have pieces, but
They took a walk, allegedly.
right.
Right. What was the second part of that question, Pete?
Let's see.
I think it was about the
do
officers.
you keep these guys? Do you keep the shields?
Souvenirs. That's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, nope.
Okay.
All right, go, Pete. What do you got?
All right. Next one.
How
Do
many,
you guys?
vodka seltzers I could have before we finish the drink?
Easy.
Before we finish the
Vodka.
question.
Listen, you little bitch. I'm gonna have a vodka seltzer. All right. Do you guys have any good firehouse neighborhood character stories? Examples: a homeless person, a crazy person, etc. That's coming from Ian Kushner, the guy who made the Karen and Lou photo. All other Photoshops since are mediocre. Self-declared.
Nice. We had one by 288. We had Tommy the Bum. Tommy the Bum lived on the streets for, it has to be, 10 to 12 years. We would find this guy like with no pants on in the bushes, and he would go to the hospital and come back. And I don't know how Tommy the Bum lived. I used to say this all the time. How did my father, who always took care of himself physically, he died when he was 57. Tommy the Bum is eating out of garbage cans and living on the streets, you know, for 12 years.
0 people got COVID. 0 people who were homeless got COVID. You know what I
Tommy
mean?
the Bum, yeah, he had like one tooth. He had like long hair, and clothes were optional, and shoes were optional with Tommy the Bum.
Holy shit!
What about you,
Well,
Chief Steve? Any?
Well, we had the. You wanted to see my son. You know,
Let me see that kid.
Bring him in. Hey, what's up, kid?
Good looking Chief Steve. Look at that. Sit
Look at
down,
that.
fella.
as you
Let
can
me
see,
see that. Let me see that hair. You got hair under there, right? Let's see that.
Oh!
What is that? A wig or something? What's that? Maury's wings. Maury's wings. They don't come off.
Gary!
All right, go ahead, Chief Steve. What were you saying?
we had the buff by us.
What buff?
He became the dispatcher.
Oh, he just died too. What the hell was his name?
Yeah,
What the
well,
fuck was his name?
I just can't think of his name right now either.
Oh shit! Stevie. I can't remember his name. He pales in comparison to Tommy the Bum, though. I mean, Tommy the Bum had no goddamn shoes on all the time.
No, I'm just saying. You said characters that used to. He was a buff there when I first got there in '81. He had been in fire patrol. Then he Then he became a dispatcher. But he was always there.
What the hell was his name, man?
Cheese Man from R4 is chiming in saying we had Molly Ringworm over by Ladder 150.
Nice.
Nice, Cheese Man. Respect.
Different companies that had different people. Sure.
Go ahead. What do you got, Hank? You had somebody?
Okay. No, it was Chief Steve was cutting out. I couldn't hear him. But no, when I was in rescue, I mean, we had a zillion characters would always, visit the firehouse. One was Tommy Traffic. Traffic agents, the brownies.
Yeah.
The brown uniform. So Tommy Traffic was one of the brownies. Nice guy. I think he was a few fries short of a Happy Meal, and he would come in and to give us reports on how many summonses he had given out for the day. Like at Christmas time, he'd come in all happy. I wrote 27 summonses so far. Nice Christmas gifts for people. And I remember one day I was carpooling home with two of the other guys, and typical Manhattan traffic around Christmas time, and we're trying to get out of Manhattan, and we're going down 8th Avenue, and it's stop and go. And Tommy Traffic now, all of a sudden, he's in one of the little brown, like Plymouth Reliance or whatever they were driving. And I guess he saw us and he wanted to catch up and wave, So we hear this horn honking and we all look to the right, and there's Tommy Traffic, and he turns his head and he's waving, but he's still driving forward, and he plows into the back of another car.
Nice.
Boom, he rear ends it. We just kept driving home, and that Tommy Traffic sat with his with his car, having to figure out how he rear-ended this guy and filling out reports. So,
Hey,
like I said,
Junior in 154, my brother Junior, he had the horse face kid.
Yeah.
He knew every box in the city, though. If a box came in, he knew every company that was on the box anywhere in the city, like the Rain Man.
Right, definitely 1075.
Oh, Mike Yak, right, Mike Yak. Yeah, but this kid had a horse face. That's why they called him the horse face kid.
Yeah, definitely the horse face kid. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Junior called him the horse face kid.
Right, Junior called him the horse face kid to his face.
Sure. All right, Pete, go with it. You got another one?
Yeah, hold on a sec. I think Lou wants to say something. Hold on.
Oh, what?
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Thanks, Lou.
Shit, Lou. Thank you, Lou. Very poignant.
Miss you, buddy. All right,
you.
so
Suck it, Lou.
let's see.
Hey, Lou, suck it.
All right, so hey guys, love the podcast. Been listening and following since day one. I just have a question. Thanks, man. I just have a question for either Lou or Kev. If they don't know, I'm sure they can get the answer. I'm just wanting to know what type of blade is used by the rescues to cut glass when doing a window washer rescue. Continuous rim diamond blade? ? I'm working on trying to get my department to set up a rescue kit for our portable grinder. Window washer rescues are becoming the norm for us in downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's windy over there. Obviously, this isn't a question that needs to be answered on the I don't know. I got it here.
We got the guy sitting right here. Only one man. Rescue one. Hank Millay. You got it. I'll give you 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. Well, first off, I don't know what they're using now, but I believe it is a diamond tipped blade that they're using on a grinder, like a wizard tool. Obviously, besides that, you can't just go cutting glass and let it fall out. So you have to have the good glazier style, commercial glazier style suction cups that are going on the pane of glass that you're going to be cutting. Again, it depends on the type of building. Like I had mentioned this to Kevin. If you go to the Empire State Building in New York, you got this is a depression building. You have double hung windows there. You don't need to cut it. You just open the window. Some of the middle after that, you had windows that pivoted in the center with 4 locks. And the only problem with that is when the maintenance guys, sometimes they would lock 2 locks, one in either corner, and then they give you the keys and you try to open them, and you're locking 2 while you're opening 2. So that's a problem. It's these newer curtain wall buildings where you have just the sheets of glass or the metal and the glass where you get into the cutting of it, and that's where basically the suction cups and the diamond tip blades, the different tapes that they use, to keep the glass from shattering, and that seems to be pretty effective. Like I say, I've been out for a while, but when I talk to the guys, I see them operating, and they do get at least a half a dozen of these scaffold guys that are trapped. It seems to work. It works for them. So if they're using a continuous tooth diamond blade, I believe that's the way to go.
Excellent. Hey, before we proceed on, I think Chief Steve came in a little late. So, Chief Steve, we had a guy named Saul who said if we used his question, he was going to send us a picture of his old lady's box in a thong. So, Pete, without further ado, throw it up.
Steve, don't go. Don't do it, Steve.
Hold on.
Don't let him
Here
bring
we
you
go.
down.
Stand by. Stand by.
Just for your viewing pleasure.
Oh
buddy.
shit! Hold on. God
What the
damn it.
fuck, Pete? Come on,
Things
man.
are going crazy. She is Saul, your wife's banging, bro.
Saul, good for you, Saul.
I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But,
Thank you, Saul.
Better call Saul. This old lady. Don't ever leave her alone when you're on a shift or whatever. My word. Anyhow, last question. Last
Go.
question, because we
right.
we had a lot tonight and we did really good. All right. First off, love the show. Thank you. We have a little bit of FDNY history in our township here in Michigan. The Super Pumper is in the fire museum we have locally. My question, though, is what other special or unusual companies were in FDNY? I heard Chief Steve reference the Sapper unit. And then with Ray Strong, heard about tactical control unit. Thanks ahead of time. Might have to do a little research on this one. Joe Feinauer.
Oh, hey, another one, Pete. Joan Feinauer.
Oi!
Play that song, Pete. Hold on
Hold
a
on,
minute.
hey. Hold on, Joseph. Hello.
Hey!
Hey, I got.
What is
they
that,
lifted me.
Beautiful. What is that? Velvet?
Velvet?
Yeah, I was lifted in one of those chairs during my
What?
wedding.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
The ladies a Jew.
That's right. That's right.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Nags like with the best of them, let me tell you. All right, yeah. So whatever
We
that
don't
was.
need to research this. We got Chief Steve here, historian extraordinaire. Tell
Chief
us about
Steve.
the sappers and miners.
Yeah, that was a unit which, like I said, I think it was disbanded in the 40s that they used to blow up buildings when they couldn't stop fires.
Oh.
But we gave that up because we decided that blowing up buildings was
I was born to be in that unit.
Yeah.
That would be me right there.
We lasted one day in that unit the first day.
I did a little research. It was 1873 to 1958 they got disbanded.
Oh, they got disbanded in 58? Okay, I thought
Yes. 1958. Sappers and miners. They came about after the great fires in Chicago and Boston. So they figured they'd blow up the buildings to stop the fires from jumping. I like that.
So
What else
I
you
guess
got?
Baltimore didn't have one of those units, right? 'Cause
No.
remember, I
No.
just found out. I don't know, Steve. I just found this out today doing a little reading. 1904, the FDNY was mutual aided by the city of Baltimore for a fire that they had. That was taking over the whole, just wiping out the whole city. And FDNY responded with rigs on train cars down to Baltimore and made
we responded to them.
You're right. FDNY responded to Baltimore in
They
1904.
responded to us. No.
No.
The fire zouaves. Didn't they have
What?
I think they had a name. They called them the fire, something with a Z, ZOUVR.
You can't pull one over on Chief
We did that for
Steve,
a couple
Hank.
of days, and they loaded the equipment on rail cars, and they sent them down there.
Yep.
You can't play fire jeopardy with Chief Steve, no way. Come on. What the fuck
I said
is that,
I
Pete?
said he probably heard of it.
What the fuck is that? Ain't nobody got no time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right. Oh,
What else you got? We do have the Thoring unit, right? That's another one. They still have the
Right.
Thoring unit, right?
Still have it, right? But that's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a unique piece.
Searchlight unit's no longer.
Right. Pete, I sent you some pictures of some of the units that we still have.
Yeah, I got them. Stand
Go
by.
with it.
Searchlight
All right.
unit is like a tractor trailer bed with lights all over it. That's
Here's the first unit right here. Oh shit! Hold
Oh
on.
shit! How'd that get up there?
Oh.
What?
Sorry about that, young Steve. All right, here we go. There's one that's the Maxi Water.
Put that back up and pay no attention to this.
Uncle Kev, you're the best. Here's a Maxi water unit. Okay.
Maxi water unit. Tell us about the Maxi water unit. It has a huge gun on it. It's got the large diameter hose. What else? He's got his glasses on.
We still have that. That's not.
I know. I didn't say that they disbanded all of them. We still have some.
You're talking about things we're no longer in a job. No.
Take it easy, fella. Don't get all up on me.
I think that's what the question was, but yes. But
that wasn't the question. No, it wasn't. Read that question again. Maybe I'm wrong.
I actually just took it down, so we're done.
All right. Okay. What's the other one that we had? We got other ones. Show me the other ones, Pete.
Yes. Here we go. So this one, which one is this, guys?
That looks like a
brush unit.
That's a brush unit.
Brush fire unit. Yep. BFU.
In the valley, they call it stump jumpers.
Stump jumpers, right?
Yep. And here's a thawing unit.
Yeah, they thaw out the frozen hydrants.
A Jenny on them, a steam Jenny, thaw out hydrants.
Right.
Then there's let's see. Then there's this guy, the high-rise.
High-rise. Yep. I worked when I was in 16 and 39. They had one. Specifically, they called on high-rise fires. A whole bunch of extra radios, extra cylinders. What else is in there, Chief Steve?
They used to have a core drill, but I don't know if they still do.
What do you call this unit right here?
Well, it always gets back to that unit, doesn't it?
Back to that one.
I mean, dude, she's
right.
Perfect.
You know when you call her when you have a frozen box.
That's the thawing unit.
That's the thawing unit, bro. I love you, Saul. I love you, Saul.
Saul, we absolutely love you, bro. Thank you, man. As a man of his word, I know we question it. I feel guilty now.
You know what else you're leaving out? We still have them, but we don't have the old ones. The old fire boats. The old ones that could outpump the super pumper like 10-1.
Really?
Some of those, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and some of those were interesting. The older fire boats, like the Firefighter and I think the Harvey, if you used to go down in the engine rooms, they were actually manifolds and engine parts from Germany that had swastikas.
Oh, yeah, somebody did tell us that. I forget who the hell told us that. Oh, I think Garrett Lindgren. Garrett Lindgren told us that. Yeah. They had Germany swastikas on it. Yeah,
I remember seeing that. But those boats could pump like unbelievable. Yeah, they've all pretty. I think most of them are gone. Steve, what's left? Just one of those old time, the older boats.
I don't even know
the Firefighter or the Harvey.
They redid the whole marine unit. I don't think there's any of the old ones left now.
Wow.
I don't believe. I'd have to look it up. Tell you the truth.
You know what else pumps like a mother?
I was never that interested in the marine unit.
You know what else pumps like a mother?
What are you gonna tell me?
Pete's old lady.
Hey!
All right, rock up! That's it. Kevin, you always got to bring it to that level.
Hey, Pete, before we go, play that sound of Lou out hunting deer. There's another sound that you have of Lou hunting a deer.
Lou hunting a deer. Another sound.
It's not over. Come on.
That one.
Lou out hunting a poor little defenseless deer.
Hold on, that one I gotta find. It's
God, what the fuck? You ruined it on me, dude.
Oh, God damn it.
What happened to Lou?
Pete?
Lou.
That's Lou up in his tree stand. What happened? I don't know. Lou tried to check in a few times, but he's out in the double wide in Ohio, and it just wasn't working. So
you know what he's going to be? You know what he's telling the deer tomorrow when he doesn't get any?
What's that?
Suck it.
Oh, look at Malay.
All right. There's one last question we're going to take because we're going over time, but it was a good night anyway. But one last question from the chat. Here it is. Malay, for you, from Mr. Joker TDK92. You have any Stan Cecina stories?
Stan Cecina. Yeah, Stan. I worked with Stan.
He never
Stan
smiled much, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but you know what? He's the guy you wanted on your side. Stan was a very serious guy. The consummate professional. There's a guy that was a paramedic. I mean, like you say, he was a bit on the serious side, but you know what? He knew his job. He knew the tools. Like I said, he's a guy you wanted on your side. You know, if the shit was hitting the fan, Stan was one of the guys you could depend on.
Yeah.
I even think it's funny because I was talking about this fire again today. That Macaulay Culkin fire back in '98. In '98, the McCulkin's. I don't think it was his. It was his family's apartment, like on the 17th floor on the Upper West Side. They had a pretty bad fire, and there was, I think, the house, the maid or somebody was trapped, and Stan went in and grabbed them, and I don't think he got him out. I think he ended up sharing a mask with him or her. I don't even remember, but until they could knock the fire down and rescued that person. So yeah, so Stan's the real deal. I haven't seen or talked to Stan in a long time, but whoever that is, please send him my regards because I always liked working with Stan. He was a gentleman.
Yep. This is what he looked like 24/7 though. This is what he looked like. Yes, he was serious. See, he was your polar opposite, Kubla. I think he was in Rescue 3, wasn't he? Was he Rescue 3 or Rescue 1? He was in Rescue 1? No, Rescue 1.
He started in Rescue 1, and then there was that time where there was an exodus, like all good sports teams where things happened, and a bunch of guys ended up going to different places, and Stan went up to Rescue 3.
Oh, he did. Right. So I was right. 1 and 3. Look at that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I remember. I'm smart. Is that it? Is that what you got, Pete? What do you got?
That's everything, bro. That's it for tonight.
Okay, Michael. What can we say? What a show. We had Chief Steve. We had Steve Jr. on there with a full head of hair. We had Hank phoning in from Del Boca Vista down in Florida, and it's past his bedtime.
Yeah, really.
Out of the bullpen. He hit the early bird special. Hit the early bird special down in Florida, and he made it in time. We appreciate that.
Check reflects the overtime pay.
He's up late.
I have a quick announcement for everybody. Everybody who's watching or listening. Every single Monday and Thursday, you get a show at 8 p.m. unless otherwise announced. Okay.
Yeah, so
no need to email me 48,000 times.
We might otherwise announce it depending on. We'll have to see what's up for Thursday because if Lou doesn't get a buck, we'll be fucked. So I don't know if he's coming.
My name's Buck, and I like. Never mind.
All right, Petey. So we'd like to thank you. What?
You got Thanksgiving coming up on a Thursday. You probably want to.
No, we can't keep missing shows. That's what I keep telling Rufrano. He better go into town this time and get some wireless or something. I don't know.
He said something about doing that. It's all good. We'll figure it out, man. It's all good. I think we'll have a show one way or the other because you and I are pretty determined. So look at what we did tonight. Maybe Mr. Celia will make a.
You never know. Let me announce this right now. Maybe Chief Steve's wife is coming on Thursday night. Let's hear it for a beautiful job. Excellent. Beautiful. No, she's not coming on. No, I got the look. Nope. All right.
What's that, Lou?
Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
I'm sorry, Lou. Sorry.
Excellent. All right. All right. Thanks, Hank.
Wait, hold on. I got a quick question for Chief Steve since he was from my probie class. Hey, Chief, are you the senior guy on the job right now?
No. There's a couple of guys. I haven't looked lately, but there's about probably down to about 4 or 5 guys. There's another guy in our probie still on a job.
Who's that?
Actually, there's 2 other guys from our probie class. One guy, I can always forget his name. He's 3'5", and there's a fireman somewhere.
Oh, that's so funny. I thought Hank was going to say, "Hey, Chief Steve, how many guys are still alive from our probie class?"
There are some guys that, that's what happens.
It happens. Yeah.
Steve, our group was a resilient group, not like these fluffy kids that came afterwards.
I know. Can't even do 20 years. You know what I mean, Hank?
I knew it was coming. Knew it. Hank, how many times I hear I got more time in the shitter than you got on the job?
The truth hurts. The truth hurts, pal.
Listen to me right here. Nothing hurts me. Nothing. You can say whatever you want. You see that guy over there? He tortured me when I was a kid. I'm impenetrable right now, bro. Nothing gets to me. Nothing. Used to stuff dirty socks in my mouth. Dirty.
It wasn't me. That was your brother.
Yeah, but because you did it to him, then he had to do it to me. So
don't believe what happened to you.
Hey,
Right. Yeah.
The shit trickles
Okay.
downhill, pal.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
In fact, if you remember correctly, I used to hold him so that you could empty all his stuff out of his drawers.
You
Remember
did. Yeah, but you also used to pay my twin sister to kick the shit out of me. So I mean,
that?
My word.
The only problem is I wish I would have had that taped.
nope.
Me
Sorry.
too. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Fling around like a big doll.
Yeah. All right, Petey, take it out, kid.
Well, if you're listening to this fine podcast on Spotify or iTunes or wherever fine audio podcasts are listened to, you should also be then tuning into youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience. And guys, when you're here, take out the booger hook, pull it off the bang switch, and hit the like, subscribe, and share button.
Chief Steve,
Come on, Chief Steve, come on.
Where are we?
Come on, Chief. There we go.
There we go.
Guys, like, subscribing, and sharing helps us spread the word about the show. That's all there is to it. And we want to grow big so we can keep doing this and bringing you more and more fun stuff every week. Guys, also head on over to Instagram at Salty Dog Inc., where Mr. Refrano, wherever he is, can curate some of the saltiest, snottiest, most awesome fire photos on the web. Seriously, they're good. And also give you all the last minute info about a show when he's not in a tree stand somewhere. And then last but not least, guys, head on over to gettinsaltyapparel.com. That's where we have all these cool shirts right here, hats, trinkets of all sorts. Guys, keep looking. There's always fun stuff. The saddle up shirts, the first do-it-your-old ladies box, slides, all kinds of wonderful things at gettinsaltyapparel.com. My kids will thank you when they're eating their next meal. And last but not least, head on over. If you guys have any questions, please head over to gettinsaltyexperience at gmail.com if you have questions for our Q&As, or if you want to submit something for our road show, which we are doing. It just needed to get pushed off due to scheduling conflicts. And that's it, guys. There you go.
Awesome. Great. All right, fellas, stay on when we hang up here. So,
Okay.
Goodbyes. And that's it. That's all we got. See you
What do you
next
tell
time.
him, Kev?
That is, be safe.
What's that?
Kev, what do you
Who?
say? I'm going to
Stay
fill
low.
in the I'm going to fill in the Louis roll. Go
All right,
ahead.
you are? All right, fellas, stay low and go.
See you at the big one.